So, first game, or first series today is going to be Casper versus Spaniard. And now we've got both players ready to go. So I'll make sure to get the player colours correct. I think I've got them correct. Casper's saying, oh, Captain Late is here. Alright, so I'm just organising the maps for the guys. So, first off, we're going to have Mountain Crossing. And second map, we're going to have a loser pick. But if the loser doesn't opt for a map, we're going to have Persian Quarries. And third map will be loser pick as well. Or in the event of a player not really deciding, Watering Hole we're going to go with. So, yeah. I think we are just about ready to do it. Yeah, the player's ready. Cool. It's weird, this new headset. It's got way better noise cancelling than my last one, so hearing my own monologue, it's really different. I sound muffled, like I'm listening to myself underwater or something. Like it's just mumbling. I hope I sound better than that to you guys. But anyway, without further ado, we've got the final week of show matches for 2019. So starting off in the left corner, in the blue trunks, weighing in at 200 pounds, standing in at 6 feet tall, we have the Spaniard on Celts. And over here on the right, in the right corner, in the red trunks, weighing in at 205 pounds, standing in at 5'11", we have You Are Casper. So we got both players taking their first hunt. Neither of them are opting to stick for the berries and go for the really quick dock. So we'll just have to see how we go with this. Casper isn't opting to take an early hunting dogs tech. And Spaniard, we'll just have to see if he does. So the thing is with hunting dogs, realistically the advantage that the Babylonians used to get by being able to take hunting dogs early is sort of cut into a little bit. It's still there, but it's nowhere near as huge as it was. Because realistically, you can queue this up 10 seconds earlier on every other civ now. So that's actually a pretty big change to the viability of early hunting dogs. And so Spaniard, early barracks, Casper, early dock. So quite the standard aggression play versus, well, a standard for this map, but a bit more of a greedy opening from Casper. But yeah, anyway, back to hunting dogs. So previously, back when storehouses took 30 seconds to build, Babylonians, because they have the ox carts, they've got basically a 30-second head start on hunting dogs if you throw a storehouse down instantly. Or any other time you throw one down, you know, there's still whatever advantage on top of that. But basically, that's all been cut into by 10 seconds on every other civ. So this isn't to say that Babylonian is useless by any chance, but it does mean that their early game flexibility that they really did have a big advantage over the other civs in, it's sort of not really there anymore. They haven't got quite the opportunity to force out early hunting dogs tech and have their opponent, particularly in lower levels of play, not really have a lot to respond to it. And when their food economy is already really good with the fact that they can just instantly take the ox carts over, it ends up being quite a significant difference. So anyway, back to the game. We've got Spaniard, massing up to 4 spears, continuing to scout the mid-map, moving out as he gets his 5th. So this is a really nice timing from him. On the other hand, Casper, because he's opted for that early dock, and the Spaniard has scouted it, because he's opted for that early dock, he doesn't really have anything to defend against this at the moment. So the Spaniard really has a huge momentum advantage at the moment. He's even getting Loom at home on the off chance that Casper actually does have something up already, but it's just about impossible. But anyway, by the time the Loom kicks in, you know, Casper's not even going to have anything on the field to harass him, so Spaniard is in a really, really nice position defensively, but economically, because he's later on the fishing ship, he's actually a little bit behind. So that's why he's so far behind in score right now, because Casper, 18 villages to 14 over Spaniard. Now, that also does include the 2 ox carts. So, with the ox carts, they do train about a second quicker than the... Actually, they train about 5 seconds quicker than the villagers, don't they? Yeah, they actually train 6 seconds quicker than the Babylonian villagers, and 5 than the other civs other than Egypt. So yeah, right now, Casper has to really try and scramble to defend here, and the Spaniard is going to get a couple of nice worker picks here, and it's going to be interesting to see with what he tries to do now. So he's going to try and focus the dock, but if Casper's responded in time by harassing with the ships, sending in his spear as well, and there's enough health on the dock that he's not really going to be able to burst that down, so another spear just coming in across doesn't really quite make it, so that was sort of poorly rallied, and he's going to have to be a bit careful with his other spears. Like, they're going to have to come around from another angle, maybe try and take out the stone. But anyway, he's forcing a couple of good worker pullbacks here, but he really needs to deal some solid damage. I think he's really only got the one worker kill at the moment, and he might have picked a spear off then, so that's 23 to 18, so Spaniard is down by about 6 villages really, because he's actually down a fishing ship too. So the fishing ship is effectively 2 villager difference. As long as your docks aren't a ridiculous travel distance from the next fish, but then considering that your opponent's going to have an even travel distance as well, unless you've gathered a lot more than him, it doesn't be so significant. So anyway, Spaniard's early pressure didn't really do a huge amount of damage. He's having to take his H2 after sort of really sniping. I think he might have got a second village, doing a bit of a delay there, but it wasn't instrumental to, you know, giving him a huge advantage over his opponent. So Casper actually still has a score lead, has the quicker H2. He's actually banking a shitload of stone, so sorry, pardon my French. So with that huge amount of stone and wood, he just about could afford 2 town centers. So realistically, if he had addressed that, he could be at the stage where he could be quite a couple of production facilities ahead. Like, that's another basically 450 resources between the two, or 400 resources. So he could get another 2 production facilities down with that if it had been a little bit better optimized, but he's actually taking the healing ointment, which is nice to see. Keeps his scout well topped up in the early game. Allows him to keep more aggressively scouting, actually finding out where the town centre is going down, where the other production facilities are and what they are. You know, those little sorts of things which really do make the difference. So the Spaniard as well, moving the spears around just to try and make sure that Casper's not moving down on this bottom side, this sort of fairly good, easy expansion, because he's only got a whirly wall up there and then try and hold there to actually defend it. So it's good to Spaniard just sort of pick at that point, and he's shifting back across just to scout another node. Sort of try and center himself to try and take an attack quite quickly soon. Probably shifted where he's actually rallying to. So he's starting to actually get long swords. Oh, he's still actually rallied over there. So he's starting to get some long swords. These guys are really going to start being able to cut through the Babylonian front line. So the Babylonians, they don't actually have a counter infantry. So it's a bit hard to really try and brute force fights. You've really got to try and have a bowman advantage, sort of delay your opponent till you actually get to stables and get Lancers out, and that's when you can actually really have an Age 2, Age 3 front line against most civs, because it's just hard, you know, when there's longswordsmen for the Celts, Hypers for the Greek, axemen for the Egyptians, throwing axemen for the Norse in Age 2, Babylonian are actually really weak and straight on up infantry fights, and a lot of the time straight up fights. The onus is oftentimes on you to really try and funnel your shield bearers around the fight in such a way that you can actually make use of them, whilst also putting them between, you know, anything that might kill you ranged or kill your stables units. And you know, shield bearers are so cheap, but they're pretty much fucking useless against infantry. Whoops, sorry, I shouldn't be swearing so much. Spearmen, on the other hand, they actually have a bit more armor, a little bit more damage in the fights against the infantry. So, and against, you know, actually dealing damage to things they don't actually counter. So, just knowing exactly how much of each you want to have on your front line is sort of hugely important for Babylonian, because you can sort of end up with something that's just really tanky but doesn't deal any bloody damage, or something that deals a lot of damage and has good snare but just doesn't have the health pool to actually engage. And Celts, on the other hand, they're an extremely infantry heavy civilization. There's no stables till Age 3, so they've oftentimes got to play quite aggressively like this, put pressure on their opponent around the map. Oh, this is actually, oh, I've actually missed all this. Sorry guys, I've sort of just been talking rubbish. So we've got a hunt here that's basically been denied by Spaniard because Caspar has actually taken the dock, gotten the Bireme out, putting some pressure on there, so Spaniard can't actually really take this bottom side hunt as well as the water. So that's sort of why it is hugely important to take the water in Mountain Crossing, because not only is it, well, a big mass of water, but there's oftentimes a gold, possibly a second, and a hunt that you can deny. So right now, this production facility of Caspar's being cancelled. Really nice push in there from Spaniard to go in right now. He can even possibly put some pressure on the gardens, interrupt the armory as well. So it's a nice pressure push from Spaniard, but he needs to be careful to deal the damage and get out, because he doesn't actually have the unit advantage here. Caspar actually really does at this stage. Caspar's done a wonderful job at really massing up a nice archer count. Just a nice little front line to stop, like I said, to actually stop the infantry just waltzing straight up there, or necessarily running away, because he's got the spears as well. They'll do a little bit of snare, and snare is always nice. It's really underappreciated by inexperienced people, because I just don't understand just how crucial hit and runs being pulled off successfully or being interrupted successfully can, like, what it can actually mean for the game. In fact, just recently there was a change for Spabara, the Persian infantry, to actually stop the Celtic infantry from being able to hit and run against them so easily. Anyway, right now, got some more walls being thrown out by Spaniards, so he really wants to make sure Caspar can't use this bottom side as a platform to engage him in his main base, put pressure on resources on his bottom side of his base, and really deny his ability to expand sort of naturally. He's sort of got to then have to push up towards the top side. But in saying that, Caspar's actually using this top side to really rally a large force across. So this big force here, and it's quite a good number. There's 10 infantry, 14 archers versus the 6 longs, 7 slingers for the Spaniard at the moment. So Caspar does have a big fighting advantage. Spaniard's actually really caught up in score. So Spaniard villager count is Spaniard's actually caught up in terms of villagers, but well, that might change. There's about 6 here, or 5 here, so he's already picked off 2. So he had a 5-6 villager lead. Now it's actually dropping down to only 2. So this is a really nice push here from Caspar, because he's going to be able to snipe the barracks. He's going to be able to possibly pick some more off here. So the Spaniard dipping on score again. Caspar's got himself in a nice sort of position here, but he needs to be careful to get away from the slingers and try and deal a bit more damage first before the range go down, because he's sort of backed himself into a do or die position here. So he needs to deal a good amount of damage to Spaniard's front line. And saying that, Spaniard needs to be really careful with these workers on the top side. So Spaniard, he's going to have to try and want to try and minimize the damage that he actually takes in this situation. And yeah, guys, I will adjust the camera zoom in just a second. As soon as this fight sort of dies down, I will find the opportunity to do so. Spaniard managing to mop up. Doesn't actually lose any villagers on that top side, but he does lose a number of his infantry here. And Casper, in the meantime, he'd lost a large amount of his force, but, well, Spaniard's going to have to try and march across the map to actually get there and make use of this pressure. So, I mean, make use of this momentum. So, right now, I'll just drop this back down. And I'll just... There we go. That's a little bit better. So, anyway, this is interesting. Spaniard's actually putting these towers here to try and block access to the fish. Because the towers will trade, I think, 2 for 1 with the biremes. So it's actually an efficient trade. A really efficient trade, tower into bireme. So it's interesting to see Spaniard set up for that, but at the same time I can see why he's doing it. There's 2 ponds there that he's going to be able to deny. Casper's taking a 3rd on the bottom side. Spaniard, really nice actually. He's going to be able to make use of that to actually get the villagers out in time. So it's actually a watch post being thrown up here. So both players having watch posts on the top side of Casper's base. Really going to be instrumental to seeing move outs from Casper, but in the meantime, the Spaniard has a really nice composition here. Lots of slingers. He's going to really try and shut down the more mixed Babylonian composition coming out now. So Casper's sort of evenly sprinkled bowmen and slingers in this time, and he's actually pulling away some lances to go and do some harass. So this is interesting to see if he manages to catch anything here. He's going to try and mop up the watch post first, and then maybe retreat, and then maybe either go back in or try and go in from the bottom side. Because basically, or he might even just delay this before he goes in, because you know, as it falls, it's pretty common for your opponent just to send something back to defend. You might necessarily want to try and mind game him, or at least, in the very least, not have all your cavalry just walk straight in and die because your opponent's prepared because he scouted it. So right now, this is actually a nice push in from the Spaniard. Casper's sort of having to try and reshuffle his army because, there's a good number of workers actually queued up there. So that's no production for Spaniard at the moment, but he's managed to deny that berries quite well. And right now there's a big fight going on, and I think Spaniard's composition is really the larger of the two at the moment. So I'll just adjust something on the stream. 1 second. Ah, fuck it. I'll do it later. Before the fight. Yeah, sorry guys. So anyway, most of Spaniard's front line here has actually fallen. Oh, and there's a druid coming up there and dying too, so that's no good either. So Spaniard's forced to have to back off, but Casper did actually take a bit of economic damage behind this. He is still well ahead on population, but he's still 2 workers behind at the moment. So the Spaniard in a good position. He's got some upgrades queued up. Hasn't actually got any armory upgrades queued up, but neither does Casper. So neither player... Oh, actually... Yeah, Casper's got his ranged upgrades and ranged defense. Spaniard actually just has his ranged... Actually, has the same upgrades. Yeah, so both of them have their ranged armor and ranged damage upgrades, but no melee upgrades at this stage of the game. And Casper is going to try and go into the top side. Actually going to catch a couple of villagers here of the Spaniards that we're probably going to try and throw down a market all the way up at the top side. So that's going to be a good catch for Casper. The Spaniard looking at taking quite an aggressive gold mine, but this is a good idea because realistically, with 2k health, you can probably even just leave 1 or 2 or none in there even, and get a really good timing on when your opponent wants to look at moving in on the gold and play around from there. Because if you really look at denying other golds around the map, sometimes there's just nothing he can really do. So actually, I'm going to be 1 second. I'm going to hide the chat hider. That's what I was going to do. There. So we are in the 21st century, guys. I've actually disabled chat hider, and right now we're going to have a big engagement between Casper and the Spaniard. No production actually from Casper at this stage. He was all capped out, but should jump on that. It's actually a big bang. And right now, the Spaniard, his force seems to really be crumbling here, so Casper's small population advantage turning into quite a big one actually. There's just not quite enough front line here from the Spaniard. I don't think he was anticipating this many Lancers, and it's basically a Lancer shield bearer response. There's almost no actual spearmen mixed into this. Yeah, it's just... Actually, there was none. So yeah, it was just bear a Lancer as a front line, and he just had enough Lancers to really be able to completely overwhelm Spaniard's infantry then. So right now, Casper having a nice forward fortress, sort of just outside of Spaniard's range, but Spaniard hasn't actually seen it going down, so this is going to complete, and it's going to be quite hairy for him, because it's not a lot of travel distance. 4 rams to head around here, get onto that town centre. Casper killing off his boats. Spaniard's already done it, so they don't want to lock up any population, but in the meantime, this is really smart. Spaniard opting for a dock as well, so the beauty of having the towers here already means that if he micros his ship closely enough and pulls his enemies closely enough to the shore, he's going to have the advantage of the towers attacking the Byreme as well as his swan ship attacking. So he's going to want to try and time this well, that Casper might have to pull back or something like that, because right now Casper has a big population lead. He's actually was up by about 30. 1 second there, so in terms of production and play, he got, yeah, wow, 165 to 120, and that's a big force for Casper's here, but it's not really well funneled. All these archers are sort of really weirdly positioned here, but at the same time, yeah, he might just have enough to fill out this choke, because it's mostly shield bearers, and they're tanky as hell. There's like 83 armor on these buggers. They're taking 17% of the range damage they should, so... Well, they should, okay. Whatever. Semantics. Anyway, so there's a fortress being thrown up here defensively for Spaniard, but is it really going to be enough? Because Casper has a really nice spread of his army now across everywhere along here. There's not a huge amount of front line left, and most of the Lancers have all fallen, but there's still a good count on these bearers, and there isn't a lot of range actually left for Spaniard, so as long as Casper can keep picking the right targets here, I don't know if Spaniard's going to have enough to actually hold off here, and Spaniard sort of on his last legs. He's forcing out spearmen actually just because they're so cheap. He's got spearmen. He's got a whole bunch of woads queued up as well just to try and make his way through the bearers. There's only really one Lancer left at the moment, but yeah, actually he's got a whole bunch of spears coming out now. Oh no, here we go. There's more Lancers coming out, so... But there's just so much range, and Spaniard's just not actually able to deal with it. There's just not really enough woads or slingers really to be able to deal with the sheer number of bowmen from the Babylonian player, and Casper's really able to push into his opponent now. The ships had an engagement, but they've pulled out. They've pulled out. So yeah, basically the Spaniard is really just willing to try and defend here. The fortress is going to go down. Casper's population lead is only growing. He doesn't seem to be backing down from about 170 population now. He's losing a couple units and just adding more in his queue. So GG for game 1. I'll just enable the chat hider real quickly. Here we go. Yeah, so that was... It was a really sort of decisive game there. Casper just seemed to respond and defend against Spaniard's early pressure and then just push out and overwhelm him there. GG to both players. The Spaniard actually did miss some villages as well, or get housed himself, but did sort of keep a good worker lead over Casper once his own dock had kicked in. But he just didn't seem to have enough to really be able to defend there, to take fights. There just wasn't really enough production there, because he took a couple of good fights early, but then just a couple really started to go bad for him, and Casper just really just dominated from there. But anyway guys, GG. I think we're going to have equal footing for map number 2. So, both players, I think, are just switching civilizations. A little rare to actually see in the show matches. Usually everyone's a bit more, I'm just gonna play what you always play. Oh no, only Casper's switching. Spaniard's actually going to try and stick it out on Kelt. Maybe he wants to try and apply more heavy pressure with the spears early again, because that was nice to see. I think if he just had got a little bit more out of it and possibly just macroed up behind it a little bit better, I think it really could have worked out well for him. I think it's just, yeah, I think he probably anticipated sniping 2 or 3 villages when he only got 1. There was that point where he just sort of attacked the dock with not really enough to actually deal any significant damage to it. And I think if he had have tasked onto the workers then, he could have really forced Casper to have to try and respond quickly, have a lot more gathering time cut into, you know, lose another worker or 2, have to try and respond with his spears more in a more panic fashion. And yeah, I just think because that didn't happen, it just ended up really snowballing towards the bad player's favour, especially with the earlier dock. So, got game number 2, got equal footing. So, Spaniard's chosen this one. In the event of a non-pick, I would have gone with Persian Quarries. So, the guys just need a second to ready up, and then we'll be good to go. So, how do you, is it Grancha? I'm not sure how to say it. Anyway, in the chat, Grancha said, doesn't Babylonia also have gardens as a bit of a hidden economic advantage? And yeah, they kind of do. It depends a bit on what civilizations you're playing into though. Because realistically, you know, while you've got this building that generates resources, and they've got a couple of good economic techs as well. Some civilizations like Egypt, they've got their priestesses with their build speed, train speed, and bonus deposit value. Celts get their own sacred deer, so they can generate their own. They're not huntable units, but they're herdable units. So basically, huntable units are the next best thing. I mean, herdables are the next best thing behind huntables. It's 1.3 versus 1.2 food, I believe. Oh, but it's the wrong player. Oh, silly me. There we go. Alright, so that's all fixed. Okay, so. But yeah, basically the gardens, they are a bit of an advantage, but in saying that, I think every civ sort of gets advantages. Like Norse, they really get the least economic advantages, but they get them through the fact that they've got the infantry building. So that sort of evens out with having less like economic techs or economic, you know, units or buildings, so to speak. And you know, in the late game, Greek have got their bonus to train time that Babylonian gets through their gardens, that Egypt gets through their priestesses. So I think in the long run, it's supposed to all sort of pan out. It's just that at various stages of the game, the different civs have their own sort of power spikes in different aspects before they sort of get to late game where they're all more the same. They're not identical, but in terms of what their kit offers, once you do get to age 3 and 4, that's where things actually start to normalize a little bit. Obviously, there's things like differences in the siege and whatnot, and in your siege ships and that sort of thing, but or you know whether or not you get them. But okay, so we got to. Oh shit! I think I picked the wrong map, actually. I'll be 1 sec. Sorry, I'm sort of getting a little bit carried away here today. What did they put in that cigarette? So anyway, I was rambling about something, and then about something, then about something, and I've forgotten all three things. But we're going to have game 2 between Casper and the Spaniard, and that's all that matters. Sorry, just full of gas. So, yeah, in terms of the economic bonuses the civs get, they all sort of equalize at some point, or in some way. I'm just going to correct the score quickly, because that looks shoddy. Super shoddy. That's much better. So anyway, spawning in the bottom corner of the map, we have, in the blue trunks, weighing in at 200 pounds, standing in at 6 feet tall, we have the Spaniard taking his first hunt now. And in the top corner, also taking his first hunt with a storehouse now, we have in the red corner, in the top corner, in the red trunks, weighing in at 205 pounds, standing in at 5'11", we have Casper. Casper's actually clearing his topside hunt with his melee scout, looking at sending his ranged scout to go and be the more, I guess, aggressive of the scouts, which is quite standard. The melee scout actually has the ability to help build your barracks, so it helps cut down on some of this building time. Now it's obviously nowhere near as quick, and where did that little scout get to? Here he is. It's obviously nowhere near as quick as the same building speed as villagers, because that would just be broken, man. But it does help, so it does really sort of make a bit of difference early game, and on top of that, you can sort of opt to do that or to scout. So that's also really where the big advantage lies in having the second scout, just because you can actually scout more gridly at home than your opponent, as well as scout out everything on your opponent's side of the map with the other scout. So, but then yeah, like I said, you can also opt to just bring him home, help build the barracks, help produce that a little bit quicker. The Spaniard opting to actually build his barracks with a second villager, if you can recall that, so he can actually force his barracks out a little bit quicker, but he's only going to be about half a spearman quicker, realistically, a little bit more than half a spearman. And Casper taking the wood over on that back side, so it's a little bit closer to his town centre than opting for, say, over here. You always really want to try and minimise the travel distance, because especially if you are just on the edge of range, your town centre is going to be able to deal damage to the spears and stop anything from happening to you too seriously too early. Unless your opponent plays something so heavily silly aggressive and you just don't scout it at all. But that rarely happens, unless you're playing me. Got some distance gathering here from the Spaniard, so I wonder if he actually realizes that he's still distance gathering with these guys, because it's not huge, but that's still probably about a second or a second and a half each, so that still adds up in terms of how much actual gathering, because that's basically a resource or a resource and a half every trip. Whereas these guys, it's basically, well, these guys, for instance, it's basically right next door. There's no travel time. It's not so much instantaneous, but it's about as quick as it's going to feasibly be. Somewhat even. So we see Spaniard again, this time moving up with 6 spears instead of his 5 from last game. And he's actually still producing them, I believe. Might have just cut this one temporarily. And he's still in age 1. Casper's opting to go for his age 2 on his north, so he wants to try and defend as minimally as he can with the spearmen, because once he gets age 2, he's going to be able to bring out the throwing axemen, and they're really good against other infantry in the sense that they do have range. So in terms of straight up fights, they're not actually that strong. But in terms of the fact that you can kite with them, you can basically run by without engaging your opponent with them, yeah, it means that they are quite instrumental. But the saying that, Casper's might have looked at aging up and cutting a spear just one too early here, because the Spaniard's big spear count here, he's up to 8 now, really forcing a good pushback here, so he's going to snipe the storehouse. Don't think he did get a villager in the end then. Actually, he might... No, I don't think he did get a villager. Yeah, he should be 2 behind because he aged up anyway. So he didn't get a villager, but he's forced his opponent off onto the berries after forcing him back into the town centre. So it's a good little bit of economic damage. As long as he doesn't invest too much more into these spears and does get a little bit more damage than this, he can be in a really, really nice spot. And right now, he's taking his 3rd hunt, because that's his 2nd there. He's taking his 2nd town centre. Casper taking his 2nd town centre a little bit faster, but it's going to get scouted. And well, the Spaniard, he might see that the army is actually up here and opt to push into the bottom side of Casper's base. That could be quite devastating, but in fact he's actually opting to come back for a second. I think he might have been better off just poking at the villagers one last time and then backing out, maybe? Because this is still quite a big investment, because that's still basically 400 food in the spearmen. And if you're just going to rally them back in with the army, they're often worthless once counter infantry or once bowmen come out, just because they get countered so hard in that situation. And I know they're a cheap throwaway unit, but that's the thing, you can only throw away so much cheap stuff before it starts becoming expensive. So right now the Spaniard is going to have to maneuver with these well, and I think because he didn't do it instantly, he might have missed his opportunity here, because the town center's already finished. So he's going to instantly start taking TC fire straight away the moment he comes in here to try and deal any damage. But in saying that, he can try and deny this hunt, so that might be what he's opting to do here. But he's just parked everything off to the side, and he's probably going to look at trying to get a good count on his longswordsman, because even though the throwing axemen are an anti-infantry, they're not the best anti-infantry. They should lose most trades basically. Their melee DPS is actually, I mean, their DPS is actually really crap. It's about half of the long swordsmen. So long swordsmen basically deal 32 damage to other infantry. Throwing axemen deal 18 damage to other infantry. So throwing axemen only deal a little bit more than half the damage that long swordsmen actually do in that trade. But in saying that, because they are ranged, and because they're still doing about 20 damage, it still adds up. And like you saw there, the spearmen really only dealt a little bit of damage there. So Spaniard probably did bring them in a little bit late, I think, because there was just too many throwing axemen to really get anything out of that. You know, the thing with heavy spear pressure early is that you need to make stuff happen before the counters come out. And the only time when you can really overwhelm those counters are when you're playing balls to the wall. I don't care about teching up. I'm just going to throw down 3 barracks, 4 barracks, 5 barracks, and waltz in with spearmen. That's the only time when you ever really want to be taking fights with spearmen into counter infantry, because you just won't have enough, and you're just not even going to get onto enough villagers to justify throwing away the units. So right now, Casper is down by 5 villagers, but right now Casper is only queuing up 1 villager out of his out of both town centers. So he's actually missed villagers entirely there. So realistically, this villager difference between the two players has nothing to do with Spaniard's rating, I don't think. Not to say that it's a bad count on them or his initial push was bad. I think he got a little bit out of his initial push. But I think the fact that he sort of delayed his second push and didn't instantly leap on that town centre or push into the base after noticing the army was here, I think that's where it sort of means his high spear count falls off. You know, it's not to crap on you, because it's a mistake that everyone makes. Like even like the most experienced players, well, except, well, maybe not like Carnage Eerie level, will still make that mistake from time to time, where they will invest in units only to not utilize them while they're actually worth what they're worth, in a sense. You know, and if they're just sitting around in your banks, they become a sunk cost, basically. You know, a lot of the times, once you've trained them, you've just got to, even if you don't go in and take a fight with your opponent, go in and try and harass the villagers, go in and try and zone him, go in and try and force him to reposition his army, force him to try and do some worker pullbacks and lose a bit of gathering time, because when you invest, even in something like Celt Spears, even in something like Norse War Dogs, it's still an investment. And when you're taking that, you're not taking the greedy tech up, the greedy second age town center. The greedy second age town center. You're not taking all those little greedy things that put you out really ahead economically. Instead, you've gone for these aggressive plays, but if you're not utilizing them as, you know, in the ways that they're common strategies for, or when they're actually at their most effective, then you end up just costing yourself in the long run. And that's where I suppose a lot of people do get this philosophy in their heads about playing the most macro-oriented strats possible, but because oftentimes it is the safest way to play, just because you don't have to have an intricate knowledge of basically when you've got safe timings to push into your opponent. And I mean, early on it's a little bit easier to sort of tell, just because obviously if you throw down the ASAP barracks a little bit faster than your opponent, and then he starts trying to age up before you, or his age kicks in before you, or you're throwing down a second barracks, and it's obvious you're going to have more than him, but sometimes, you know, as you enter the mid game, you're having more than him. If he's still got a good counter pick over you, it might not be enough to actually do anything with, or push with. But anyway, right now, we have Spaniard with a big long swordsman count up against a big throwing axeman count, so Casper's going to have to micro these all the way back to his town center eventually. Which he is going to do just that. And so, the Spaniard forced to have to retreat now. But after he's killed off all of Casper's initial spearmen, and sort of put a bit of pressure on him, but in the meantime, Casper's raiders have really shut down this hunt here for the Spaniards. So right now, Spaniard just sort of waiting for a little bit of healing, opting to pull back now. Casper's actually, oh, both players are actually in age 3, so yeah, both players playing quite an economically heavy game, but the Spaniard, 40 villagers, Casper actually up on 47 now, so it's Casper's actually taken the worker lead now, because the Spaniard's really trying to force out more, as much as he can right now, but he's housed. And because he's housed, he's really starting to slip economically right now, because Casper is starting to get a bit housed himself. It's got his villagers sort of not on these as they should be. A little bit of travel time here, but Casper, if Spaniard doesn't overwhelm him now, Casper's going to have enough hardjars and longswords and throwing axemen just to be able to repel him and just start creeping with the Norse buildings, which is quite easy to do considering the Norse, yeah, they can train them build them straight out of the infantry. So Casper circling around in Spaniard's base, he's denying this topside hunt, as well as this one where he's already destroyed the storehouse for. So that's a bit crucial. Spaniard is really sort of forced off two hunts basically because of this, and he's Norse, so that's, I mean, he's Celtic, so it really hurts considering they are quite a food dependent civilization. There's food costing spears, there's a 50-50 or, well, 30-30, 40-40 as Golden would tell you. Longswordsman cost between food and gold. In the meantime, oh, there's this missed army here of Casper's, and the Spaniard, he's on Casper's doorstep, and Casper's trying to cross the map, so the Spaniard's going to get a really nice opportunity to actually, yeah, force a huge number of worker pullback. 15 workers being pulled back here. He's going to try and snipe a couple of production facilities. Let's snipe a storehouse, or maybe even skip past the storehouse, considering it's not worth that much at the moment. So barracks, 3 barracks are going to fall here for Casper. This is really a big loss for him at the moment. And Spaniard's even popping right of Radis, so he's getting 50% increased building damage. He's funneled in a good number of 3 woads here just at the back here, so he's dealing a bit more damage to Casper's workers in the meantime. And Casper really getting punished for moving out right now. His army is just collapsing. Spaniard has just got a great force here, and GG. Wow, both of these games have been quite decisive after a little bit of a tussle. Then one player just marches straight into the other. Yeah, wow, that was just Spaniard really punishing Casper there for having his army out of position. Wonderful snipe on his production facilities, and then turning around, fighting the army straight up. Just GG. The woads in the back, a couple of woads over here, just picking off workers. Not too many. Not too little to not do anything. Just really good solid play for him there. Unfortunate for Casper, but yeah, we're going to have this series go to 3 games. GG guys, it's been great so far. I'm keen to see what this third game's got in store for us. Oh! There we go. Same size? Same size. Yes. Okay. Alright guys, so I have to see what map Casper opts for game 3. Oh, Persian Quarries. So Casper's actually opted for Persian Quarries for map number 3. So this map doesn't get a lot of love. It's not been in the pool for a little while, and it's not a fairly common pick for players in show matches and tournaments. So I'm pretty keen to cast one on it, and I hope you guys are keen to watch one on it. So yeah. So Casper's actually opting for Persian here. So Persian just recently got a buff early game in this matchup, and we're gonna have to see if Casper can make use of that buff, or if Spaniard can adopt styles that aren't really hindered by it. So yeah, we have Persian Quarries as map number 3. And a quick shout out to my sponsor, the tap water. Anyways, I better stop screwing around, because you didn't rock up here to listen to me talk some rubbish. You came to watch some nice AoE games, so we have game number 3 between Casper and the Spaniard. Coming up, we've got a Persia versus Celts game. And I'm actually really interested to see some more of this matchup in particular, because it's one of my favourites to play on either side. Just because you've got a really defensive Civ early versus a really quick Civ early. So it just makes for really interesting dynamic games, I think. You can see all sorts of cheese pressure from both civs in the matchup, although it's hard to get aid tent play to work, considering that Celts just have to tech up to long swordsman, and even with the aid tent healing, you're just going to get screwed. Meanwhile, they can go for heavy spearmen, but Persians are one of the best civs to help defend against it, in a sense. So you get a lot of games where the Celtic player plays more aggressively, only for it to just end up in like a long macro game where they're both fairly even anyway. But anyway, we've got barracks coming up for both players, so Casper's is slightly quicker. Oh, Spaniards only just getting off the berries now, so it's a little bit slow on that. Not a huge deal, but might be a little bit of resources. So this barracks is going to finish, and oh guys, what have I done? What have I done? I have not introduced the players. What is the good of me? I should just pack up my microphone and go home. Oh, what do you mean I'm already at home? Anyway, spawning in the bottom corner, or the bottom left of the map I should say. Pretend I might toast this or something for a little bit. Anyway, spawning in the bottom left hand corner of the map, we have in the red trunks, the Persian player, Caspar. And in the top right corner of the map, in the blue trunks, as the Celt player, we have the Spaniard. So it's actually quite a large map, this one. Bit of a macro map really. And there's quite a bit of resources locked up on both sides. We see a couple of early spars just out here, and a couple of what do they call it? What do you call them? A couple of spearmen standing here, standing guard, getting paid to do nothing, just like a typical government job. Anyways, so down here we've also got some Sparbara, courtesy of the Persian government and Persian military command, just chilling here. Which king? It would have been King Cyrus at the time. It would have, yeah. So King Cyrus is just paying these guys to stand around and do bugger all. Meanwhile, who's the leader of the Celts in this game? Man, I'm honestly terrible with the lore in this game. Is it Vercingetorix? Who have we got as like the head honcho of the Celts at the moment? Anyway, basically, he was just paying these spearmen to stand around and do nothing, but right now they're marching across the field, taking out some wolves. Quite strategic, if you ask me. Minimizing the damage on the spears is really important to do if you're going to continue to try and funnel units across to your opponent's side of the map. It actually is. It sounds silly, but 10 damage per hit from the wolves eventually gets annoying, and yeah, it basically will cost your harass if you don't take it out as quickly as possible. And so right now, Cyrus the Great's Persian Guard just standing around, getting paid to do nothing, because the Celt spearmen are sort of just massing up, just hitting that sweet spot, just that right amount, you know. You don't want to over season it. You got to get it just right with the heavy spear pressure. And so right now, a single spear marching through the base. Is this going to give it up? Is this going to give it up? Oh, he's going to have to try and back up here. Okay, so don't tell me you guys want overtime for doing that. Anyway, Caspar, taking H2. Where are your villagers, son? Hunting dogs finishing up for Spaniard. He's still in H1 at this stage. He's actually a fair bit ahead of Caspar in terms of stone at the moment, so just a bit of a funny opening for... Oh no, actually here we go. Obviously, Caspar already has the stone to throw down his second TC. It's a greedy second TC to try and secure this forward gold, because there's really only one here. I don't think there's one down here at all. So it's a good idea, actually, having these Sparbara. Getting paid to play security now, huh, guys? You're men of many talents, eh? Meanwhile, these spearmen down here also doing little to get paid a lot. Man, can you guys hit me up? Wish I got to stand around this much at work. Now, who am I kidding? I'm not trying to crap on either player here. I just think, especially as that second town center is going up, you can really try and put pressure on your opponent, because if you come in here, force him off his wood, he's got to try and regather wood elsewhere. He's got to send his units down to try and deal with it. You can send units up here to harass the town centre before it's finished. Or vice versa, try and brute force with the town centre with the sheer fact that you've got, you know, 8, 9, 10 spears versus 4, 5, 6 Barbara. And with your later producing ones, just come and hit from this angle. And likewise, Casper, I guess he could possibly even look at pushing up with his Sparabara if he knows the Celts player's got spears on his side of the map. Just force him off his own resources anyway. Defend, get your aid tent, defend with nothing, and just laugh at your opponent because aid tent OP. It's not that OP, but I don't know. I just love the tech, man. Aid tent, the things you can do with aid tent. Oh boy. Aid tent just completely negates anything. He's got a spearman. Oh, okay. Doesn't matter. He's got lots of units. Oh, I've got lots of aid tents. Doesn't matter. Oh, he's trying to focus my backline. Oh, I've got 8 tents at the back of my army. Oh, doesn't matter. So anyway, I'm getting distracted here, but Casper's actually opting for a bit of greed here, taking his early wheelbarrow. So it's a bit interesting seeing it when he's only got 33 villages. Usually you try and see it more around 45, 50, 55 villages is sort of when it tends to get introduced. Maybe 40. But yeah, around in the 30s, it typically isn't done. But in saying that, Spaniard sort of, yeah, again, over-invested in the spears or held off too long in making use of the investment. Like he's even scouted this here up on the top side now, so he knows about this. He can make use of that with these because he knows the army is here. So why is he parked here? Like, it's dangerous being here. It gets him nothing. And in saying that, Casper, what does Casper actually know about what's going on at Spaniards? So he knows about both TCs. Good. What else does he know about? What does he not know about? So he doesn't know about this bottom side hunt. Not good. He doesn't know about these production facilities. Well, he can't know about them because they're not actually being produced. But this one here. So both players, not to pick them apart because they're probably both around my level of play, but these little mistakes do end up maybe not costing the game, but completely mitigating the point of playing around early aggression on Celt Spears, in a sense, because if you don't really get that good 1-2 in terms of your damage, you know, really all you've done is, you know, forced him back to berries for a couple of seconds, and that undoes the cost of half the spearmen you've trained. So sometimes you just got to stop and think about how you're applying your aggression, or how you're actually making use of the units you want to use for aggression, and go, am I actually getting cost-effective trades out of this? Can I be getting more cost-effective trades out of this? Are these fights I should be taking? Are there fights elsewhere on the map I can take that are going to basically be unlosable? And in saying that, right now we got some Asabara coming out from the Persian player. So this is where Casper, in the same sense, is going to have to try and do the same thing, where now he's not going to be able to take good direct fights, considering that these are just going to die to the infantry of the Celt. These are just going to die to the range to the Celt. So now the onus is on the Persian player to make effective use of his units on the map. So Casper is going to have to do a good job at trying to scout out, and he notices there's nothing here on the top side, which should mean that there's going to be something on the bottom side. There's no taken hunt. This hunt isn't. So realistically, from this point on, now the onus is largely on Casper to try and put pressure on. Spaniard is going to get age 3 a little bit slower, but not super slow. But in saying that, because he's Celtic, obviously there is no stables down yet. The Persian player has had a whole age to get stables down, so the quickest units on the map, they're not the Celtic infantry anymore. for the next minute or so, the quickest units on the map are Casper's. So is he going to get anything out of that? Or are they both just going to sit back and macro up for the time being? And Spaniard doing quite a good job at expanding all over the map, although I think he's actually lost maybe 2 villagers. No, he's only lost the one. He's lost a villager. Trying to take the gold mine. He's taken this topside gold mine, so Spaniard really sort of economically opening up a little bit more than Casper here. He's actually pulled ahead by 3 workers. He's actually forcing... That's actually nice to see. Casper sending in just a single Sparabara, put pressure on his opponent, force a pullback. I think he might have even got a villager there. He's going to be able to just rally back towards an A tent and heal back up to full. So the beauty of Persians is that it might seem funny, but a single Asabara can often deal a lot of damage. And if he had even scouted out this as well, although he hasn't, if he had scouted out that too, that could have also been really, really big for him. Meantime, a small push up of long swordsmen, they're actually gonna, yeah, force the whole army to try and engage him. So Casper really, like I said, sort of just doesn't really have a big fighting force in the matchup right now. Things are really Spaniard's way with unit counts, and Casper's gonna have to try and defend with everything on his doorstep here. And he might have to look at taking a single Asabara and putting pressure somewhere on the map here, because if Casper wants to really loosen the pressure valve right now, he needs to put pressure in return on Spaniard, who's taking 2 golds on the top side. Still got that storehouse near the one on the bottom side, so right now the map control is really in Spaniard's court, and Casper, if he wants to win that back, needs to make use of his Sparabara. I mean his Asabara. And in saying that, Spaniard, he's going to have to keep on top of his age 3 upgrades now, so he does have the stables to start making use of, but he might even just opt to continue to add to his big range ball, his big infantry force here as well. So sometimes branching out into cavalry when you're already behind, just naturally as you are as Celt, sometimes it is just worth just trying to brute force it with infantry, but sometimes it is worth trying to throw down 1 or 2 quick stables to really play catch up with your cavalry army. And this is an interesting spot for the Spaniard, because he's sort of a little bit do or die right now, but I think he's a bit confident that he's got the unit advantage, and he's going to clean up the storehouse, which is not a bad idea to try and pick those off as well, because like I said, they are going to be good healing for the Persian player, who at this stage doesn't actually have any priests out. So if Spaniard really wants to make use of his healing advantages right now, he needs to just destroy the storehouses, kill a couple of units, back out, destroy a storehouse, back out, so to speak, and maybe even look at splitting up, pulling out 5 spearmen or 5 long swordsmen out and doing some damage on the top side, because it's hard to try and break in here without any cavalry just yet. But in saying that, he does have such a big unit count. But like I said, when you've got 10 storehouses in a screen's range, that actually adds up to being a lot of healing as well. That's basically 100 health per second across the entirety of the Spaniard's army. And these are just storehouses that Casper has naturally built. Casper hasn't built these to help try and defend here. He's built these just to try and gather with. So he's basically got 100 free healing in that screen's radius worth he can get per second across 10 targets. So yeah, anyway, I'm just sort of trying to highlight the impact that those little techs can actually have at this stage of the game. And right now, I think Spaniard might have actually sent something up there, because there's some cavalry there defending, and another storehouse being picked off just before he engages, so it's actually a good idea to do that as well. Stop. He's going to try and come in through here, going to pick off the archers around the storehouse and just come in through the back as well. So this is a really nice spread here from Spaniard. Casper, I'm not sure if he's got the forces to be able to deal with this. He's just only got a little bowman ball now at the moment, and it's just dropping like flies. There's a couple of Asabara heading across the map, but ooh, a bit costly. That's basically 15 population worth of a fighting force. And it's not really going to get anything until it actually kicks in and hits something now, so they're actually just standing there doing nothing. There's workers on the gold mine, there's nothing actually over on the wood line at the moment, but the Spaniard's done a lot of damage to Casper right now and is backing out, still has most of his army left, has still got a population lead of about 20, so this is a really nice spot for the Spaniard, not so nice a spot for Casper. The Spaniard's actually walling up on the top side, really securing the resources that are up here. These Asabara just rallied up here, sort of just, yeah, taking a dump on the clock, not really doing anything. At least they're not taking a dump on the clock on this side of the map. But in saying that, he could have picked off a watchtower too, because this watchtower is going to be instrumental. He's going to know that there's nothing around here except for maybe the market line. This is a really nice spot for the Spaniard to be in right now, and there's some exposed houses here for Casper too, so if these get picked off, this could be really bad for him. He's going to have to try and build them up. He's going to lose all the storehouses here. It's going to be really hard for him to try and engage into his opponent the longer he takes to actually wait here, which is a bit paradoxical because he's so far behind on units, so he's going to have to really be careful, really have to micro his heart out here, but I think Spaniard just might have way too much here now. There's just such a really nice count of the bowmen, of the slingers. There's basically no front line for the Celt player right now. There's just 50 ranged units, so the Spaniard has just got a big mix of ranged, and they're just destroying everything in Casper's base at the moment. There's infantry falling, there's villagers being whittled away at, all the Takabara and bowmen for Casper are well and truly falling right now. Houses are falling in through the centre. Those Asabara come back? They must have, surely. Oh, okay, so the Asabara have actually tried to attack into here, but just haven't dealt any damage, so... Yeah, so Spaniards managed to clean up the 5 Asabara that they were back there, taking only a tiny amount of damage. In the meantime, there is just this huge force for the Celt player, raining hell down on the Persian player's base, so... Casper's really having to defend this by the skin of his teeth, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to. Spaniard's actually following up with a forward tower. Forward fortress being thrown out now from the Persian player just in front of his town centre, and he does have a nice count of villagers there to try and get that up, but in the meantime, if Spaniard focuses the villagers or just focuses the fortress, he might just be able to get this, so really nice focus here from Spaniard. He's going to be able to deny the fortress, and Casper, I don't know if he's going to have anything left to be able to defend here. There's just more and more coming in from Spaniard. He's pushed up all the way to 175 population. Casper's down to under 100 again, so Casper's villages around his natural town centre, around his original town centre are just starting to be rained on. There's 10 villages queued up into his expansion town centre here on the top side. I bet he's probably starting to regret playing that Ridley with that town centre now, unfortunately. Well, in saying that though, there wasn't a lot of gold for him actually. There's a lot of it here on the bottom side of the map, and yeah, the Spaniard's really opening up with some good pressure here. He's just... Another guard tower being thrown down. He's interrupted that fortress, so the guard tower chipping away the archery range while the rest of the ranged units just pile up. The augurs just chilling, just healing, just chilling. Just top him up to full, why don't you? Just keep on doing it, keep on trucking. And another production facility, another storehouse of Casper's going to fall in a second. Things are really starting to look drastic for the Persian player right now. And the Celt player, on the other hand, really starting to tech up into the late game. Getting an H2, getting his second tier ranged armor upgrade, getting his first tier infantry damage upgrade, so range will not be long before this thing falls. Here we go. 5.5 damage at a time, guys. You've really got to hand it to this tower. It's really putting in the work. There we go. So it's finally the archery range for Casper's falling, and Spaniard is just marching straight into Casper's base. Casper is having to try and respond in time, but buffs being popped with an augur at home. He's getting Rite of Radis again, so he's going to try and snipe the main town centre, so this is really going to start looking hairy for the Persian player. Down to only 2 town centres. Celt player just completely circling his bowman ball here now, and GG! Wow, so it seemed like a fairly even game going into the mid-game, but then, yeah, like I said, Casper just sort of didn't really make use of his cavalry, and Spaniard just massed up his ranged, his infantry forces, and just overwhelmed his opponent. Then really nicely played, considering I bashed a lot of his early game, and the fact he sort of had the spear standing around not doing a great deal, but in saying that, he really played his heart out afterwards, really read his opponent well, noticed that Casper wasn't putting a lot of pressure on him with the stables, that he'd gone double stables. Didn't really apply a lot of pressure. The Kel player is sort of free to keep massing up his infantry-based play, keep massing up his range-based play. There we go, five ranges there. Just wonderful stuff to see from the Spaniard. GG, guys. So both players, just a couple of little misses there on the villagers. But otherwise, yeah, just wonderful games, guys. Really, really fun to cast those two. Those three, sorry. So the Spaniard taking the series 2-1 over Casper. That was a really fun series, that one. And I think Casper's going to want me to call him on Discord so he can cast with me. So I might go for a cigarette and I might see if Chandler's ready to play. Now, I don't regret picking MX as the first map at all. Man, it's such a good map. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I just thought it wasn't. Yeah, sorry, I got confused about that being not being Tundra, the map itself, like, or whatever it is. Sorry, I'm getting confused now. Whatever that new map is. The Ghost Lake or whatever it is? Yeah, I thought it was Ghost Lake, just because it's the only map I've played Tundra on so far. Yeah, sorry for wasting a bit of time. I'll go and have this cigarette. And we'll be back with only a couple of minutes. Tundra or Ghost Lake next map. Okay. Actually, Right, I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Oh. Voice. Alright. So we're back, and I'm actually going to call Caspar, because I believe I'm going to have a co-caster.
Hello, are we connected?
Hey man. Oh, change my voice settings. Hey man, what's going on? How do
Can
I
you
turn...
hear me?
Only just. How do I turn you up?
I don't know. Oh man, I house myself so much.
Okay, how do I turn up? I'll be
Don't you
one
like
sec.
click right on me and have the volume of the user?
Oh, yeah, there we go. Alright.
Okay.
So, we've entered the 31st century. I've actually found the volume control.
Getting
And
there.
I've got Casper with me today. Hope you guys can hear him fine over the music. I'm going to try and turn it down just a tad.
I don't sound because I'm not talking. But let's see what will
Alright,
happen.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Sort of.
That's like first step.
Okay, so...
We're getting there.
Alright, I'm just adjusting the scores. I'll be ready to roll in about a minute.
No problem. Yeah, the first game was perfect. I did things as I wanted them to do. And then I had the second game and the third game. And I was housed for all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
All possible time. And didn't have space for villagers, and then forgot that after building houses I can produce them again. Yeah, but I can't wait to see the Tundra.
Alright, I'm just making sure the players are ready.
Yeah, we have an answer from the chat that we sound good, so...
Okay, cool. Alright, well...
The sound is okay.
Okay,
First
cool,
time
perfect. Oh, praise the Lord. Alright. Chandler said, is your screen share working?
Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
everything is
Yeah,
fine.
Chandler said, as long as it's not coastal, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And
I
I
can't
do not blame him.
I cannot fully understand why, but yeah, we will see.
Oh man, I just hate coastal as well. It just feels like the most decisive water map by a mile.
Yeah.
And it's just such a shame because it just feels like there's no coming back if you lose it. Whereas on the other water maps, it feels like there's always something you can do to catch up.
Yep.
But anyway, I just might introduce these guys quickly. So I'm going to ramble for a little bit. So we've got spawning in the bottom right corner of the map, in the blue trunks, as the Celts, weighing in at 200 pounds, standing in at 6 feet tall, we have the Spaniard. And in the top left corner, in the red trunks playing Greeks today, standing in at 6'1" and weighing in at 195 pounds, we have Chandler. And so...
Did you do the same thing to me?
Yeah, I did. I did the same thing to you guys in the game before.
Oh, this war leader are so nice.
Yeah, so this is Erie's wonderful creation, is these war leaders, and I'll just take a quick look at the macro setup for the players at the moment. So Spaniard's actually opting to make use of that early dock. Still just distance gathering on the wood for the time being. And I think Chandler...
somehow close to the Scandinavia from the Age of Empires 2.
Yeah, it is a bit. I was about to say, is there a Scandinavian map that's a bit like this on Age of Mythology? Or there is one map on Age of Mythology that I do know is a little bit like this. I can't quite remember which.
Yeah, that's probably the same because,
because I know Ghost Lake was pretty much Recon's direct inspiration for Ghost Lake in this.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Ghost Lake is like in every Age of Empires from the Age of Empires 2, so...
Yeah, it's a pretty sort of standard thing. Yeah, Ghost Lake for sure. It's in Age of Empires 2. I think there's maps like it in Age of Empires 3. There's some of the is it New England or something, like one of the icy maps the middle of the map
Yeah.
you just can't build on. So it's much the same. Chandler actually pulling across a whole bunch of villages now, so he hasn't taken a rear dock.
He's going for the dock on the Spaniard side.
Yeah. Because he's getting H2, he's got nothing at home, and he's got 5 villages, so it's actually really brave to do this. So
don't run this way. Run.
oh,
Yeah,
you know what
he's
he's doing? He's doing a triple tower. He's going to do triple tower.
Oh
Or
my
double
god.
double tower, sorry. Can he afford?
I was thinking we will see but the Spaniard is here.
Yeah, but
I was
Spaniards,
thinking we'll see
yeah.
more leaders, but we are starting with the tower rush.
So Chandler's been denied on it, but he's gonna actually do it again, and he's gonna tower creep now. So if he gets this one up and then puts another one just in range of this, it could actually be interesting, really, to see how Spaniard responds. I think Chandler knew that that was a really optimistic spot, and that it would probably be in TC range.
Yeah, he needs to get like some wood.
He desperately does need to get wood. Yeah, you're right about that. I think I've actually mentioned this to him before. Is that he probably doesn't get.
He shouldn't have so many villagers on stone. He don't need.
Yeah, that's it. I think I've mentioned this to him already. He's a little bit too heavy on his stone economy and not heavy enough on his wood economy when he does this build. And he's even got a little bit too much food in the bank at this stage. So I think realistically, right now, like he could have even.
Got no inspiration for any maps to do this. So
Oh, sorry, I was
his
thinking about
idea.
space resources.
Yuri said that he didn't get the inspiration to do this, so it was his idea.
Oh yeah, well I think it's a bit more common, like in Age of Empires 2, to play like these sort of styles.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting. Half-finished walls to really deny interruption time, and then he's put the villager back on it just to get it up quicker anyway.
Yeah, now he's putting the third one.
Yeah, so this is really interesting.
Really, if he gets Academy and get the... how's the tech called? The murder
Yes,
host, I think.
He's denied Spaniard a little bit here, so Spaniard's actually taken a bit too much stone himself, or might be looking at doing his a tower-based play himself.
Close the Spaniard base from the one side, he just needs to get the close from the second one.
Yeah, well that's it. He sort of, if he can come in from this side, Spaniard is sort of buggered.
Yeah, he should try to put one on the tower next, somewhere close to the dock of the Spaniard. So
Yeah,
the Spaniard-
if he puts one like down near here, or puts it up here, it's going to be perfect. Like, if he puts one right here, if he could do that, that would deny so much. Like, Spaniard
yeah.
has so much around it and has nothing still. Like, both players are, like, have still got no military.
Yeah, Spaniard don't really have the way of military. Now he's building his barracks, but still his DC is under attack.
Yeah.
Chandler did lose one of his villagers, but he's denying storehouses. Soon maybe his tower will focus the houses, so it will annoy Spaniard even more.
Yeah.
And they're supporting each other, so he can't really do that much.
Well, that's it. It's such a nice line. They're all in range of one another. Like, if you go for any one of them, at least 2, if not 3 of them can attack you anyway, so it's going to be hard for Spaniard to actually mass up the unit count to deal with this now. And by the time he does, Chandler can throw down more towers, or just get a raiding force of his own and come in from the top side.
Yeah, the Spaniard right now is going with the Swan ship and with the long swords and some spearmen. He's getting every military he can.
Yeah.
I don't think that Swan ship will do that great.
Oh, well, that's it. Like, it's a lot of resources to lock up, and
if this tower is finished, then the Swan
then
ship
the whole.
is done.
Ooh.
No, he won't be. Won't make it in time.
Ooh. So he's going to pick
he
the
can
villagers
kill
off.
the
So
villagers.
he's going to interrupt the tower.
If he escaped the... Yeah, he did escape. Now Swan ship can't really kill this tower because the towers have bonus damage versus the ships.
Yeah, that's it. So the towers do win in the trades versus the ships quite handily. It's not really efficient at all,
And he's just building the tower on the tower.
Hmm. And Spaniard's responding with yet another dock, so Spaniard hasn't yet opted to throw down his third his second TC and actually try and take the economic route out of this. He's actually trying to brute force things and try and win control of his own base back. So,
I mean, he have the advantage because Chenla economy is terrible.
yeah,
right now.
Chandler's economy right now is just absolutely screwed. He's not even got workers in production. He's up
He
to
should
9.
produce-
Yeah, he's
if
only.
he would produce even more workers and throw some more workers to building these towers, he would probably win this situation, no problem. Now
Yeah,
he's
well,
getting
that's true.
back.
Like it's always hard trying to figure out exactly how to min-max your worker usage, and if it's worth cutting workers or not. But yeah, like you said, he probably cut workers for a little bit too long, and he probably didn't
Yeah.
bring enough to actually try and get the towers built up. Like, did try and funnel them across as he's building them.
I mean, base of the every good tower rush is to still have resources, so if your tower rush fail, you can
Yeah, you can actually transition.
get into something else.
Yeah, because right now he's
Yeah.
playing 1 barracks into 3, so even though he's done all this initial damage, Spaniard's
Yeah, now
sort of stabilizing.
His only option right now is to slowly push, build like 2-3 more towers there, and hope to send them around and build like 2 towers from the second side,
Yeah.
and just close the Spaniard so he can't move.
Well, that's
that
it,
much
like, he's-
outside.
He's already slipped so far behind economically because he's down on 20 villages, Spaniard's up to 30. Spaniard's got the quicker dock, so... And Spaniard's actually finished his second TC now, so... Yeah.
If it would be you would probably go for this TC just next to your towers here. And what the Spaniard is doing, it's stupid because he's sending his units around, but he's running around this little outpost. He just should go second way straight for the Chenla base.
Yeah, well, realistically, yeah, you're right about that. Like, if he just... Chandler has nothing at home still, so if Spaniard engages Chandler at home, Chandler has to pull everything back, and then Spaniard can look at taking all this out. But in saying
right
that,
now he's-
he might snipe a couple of towers here, but he is going to lose a little bit in doing so, so...
Yeah, the Chenla has only 1 villager here right now.
Mm,
So
but he is going to
Yeah.
save it for now.
yes, what Spaniard doing right now is just losing resources.
Well, that's it,
Right,
yeah,
the
you're
tower-
right about that, exactly. Like, if Spaniard
He
still
should
had his
build
scout
the
up...
Tower,
Hmm.
build the tower on the edge of the range for himself.
Oh, that's it. If he builds a tower right here, and then auto targets it down onto these, pretty much that's going to be his best chance. And then yeah, trying to take a fight to Chandler. Like Chandler still has nothing at home, no second TC, no towers, no military units. So yeah, you're right. Like Spaniard's way out of this is to try and scout out what his opponent's doing at home and to try and crush him there. Like this is actually a really nice, yeah, front line for Chandler. Like Spaniard really needs to.
Yeah, it's basically the fortification, and Spaniard just attacking Maginot line.
Yeah. Oh, I was about to say the same thing myself. Like he needs to employ blitzkrieg tactics here because he's just attacking the Maginot line over and over again.
Yeah.
He's pulling out ahead of it because he's already ahead economically, and if he wasn't, he'd really start to be hurting right now, I think. And not to knock Chandler, because it really is nice to see plays like this happen, and it's rare to see them happen.
He may lose
But in
his
saying that,
villager because
yeah,
control it.
yeah, you're right about that. He needs to be really careful with her.
Yeah, because auto building is really annoying in a situation like this.
Mm.
So really,
Okay, you're right.
China
Both.
is rebuilding his economy, and the problem is he don't really spend resources or on anything. So yeah, the Spaniard probably will listen to us because for now he's running
Ooh.
for the
Now-
Chenla base.
Now what we've been talking about might actually happen here, and Spaniard is going to take the initiative out of the two of them and actually deal something on the top side. Because like you said, Chandler really could have double towered up here, double towered over here, single
Yeah,
towered
if
in
he
here
would
before the TC,
close-
and really hurt,
if
you know,
he would
really
close
hurt his
them up.
opponent. But he just sort of...
He would close them up for the Spaniard and
Hmm.
it would be done. Because that's the basic for the tower rush. you can't allow your enemy to move out. You just
That's it. You can't allow him to keep creeping up the other side of the map, because then it just undoes all your spending in your Maginot line.
Because towers are for like 90% of the games they are not worth it.
Oh
so
yeah.
Every time you are going for tower rush, you just need to close your enemy inside and starve him to death.
Pretty much. Like it was a really nice opening execution of it. I think it's just that he just sort of.
It's really hard strategy here, as you can always go for farms, and for example, when you're playing with cells, you have always access to this free spearman. But otherwise, yeah.
So he's gonna snipe a house, maybe the dock.
I think what Chenla should try really next time when he will be doing this is just have more economy.
Oh, for sure. Like any time there that he cut workers there, he probably could work out of the build to actually,
like
get more out.
Seconds lower. To have like 1 or 2 more villagers speed up, because. And the second thing is he should try to. What was I going to say? Oh, delete his tower when they're getting destroyed, so he can get as much resources out of it as he can.
Oh, that's it. If he knows he's not going to complete it, just instantly pull the villager back, delete it. Yeah, and then garrison the villager, put her out the far side of the other towers that are finished, and yeah.
The spirit of the true tower rusher is raging inside of me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you used to cannon rush on StarCraft, so man,
yeah,
like that is basically tower rushing on steroids.
Yeah. I mean, the cannon rush was a little bit more annoying because you need pylon to set it.
Yeah, that's true.
Cannons are much stronger than towers here. That's why I'm not really trying to build the tower rush here.
Because even though it's a little bit easier to just initially show up the towers, you just don't get as much out of them, and they're easier to sort of play around.
The problem is, first of all, you have minimum range of your towers. The second, they are vulnerable when they are not yet built.
Yeah.
So that's annoying for you. And third, they cost you much more than in the StarCraft. And just in StarCraft, when you play in Protoss, their towers breeding for yourself. So I didn't even try this strategy here. I did a little bit with Norse, but with Norse you just, when you do the damage to the enemy army, you just build them at the edge of the enemy PC range.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, it's a bit easier on Norse because you don't actually have to pull any villagers. The moment. Yeah, you've got the upper hand in fighting units on the field because you've just taken a big fight or your opponent's committed to greed. You can just tower up everything around his base,
You just use the towers as archers to
pretty much, yeah, exactly.
And under the enemy units with range, because your axe throwers can get so close under the PC of enemy.
Yeah, that's it. Rather than having to try and, run in with like 6 range bloody throwing axemen. Why not just tower on the edge of his resources and chip his villagers off for free?
Yeah. So Chenla is trying to just block half of the map. We'll see what will happen with it. Spanier just get around.
With that lookout tower, if you're playing Egyptian, right, can you convert that if you've got a Age 4 priest?
I don't know if you have range, because I didn't play Egyptian that much to know if you can.
But like, I would think, because you can get just there, and that would only be about probably 6 or 7 range, maybe? No.
Yeah, we will need to ask Kiri for that.
We'll have to ask Yuri or PF2K, they'll know, But anyway, Chenla's tower rush, it's probably going to start to really fold now. And in fact, he's going to even lose the production facilities. But he's got some at home.
Got destroyed like in real history from attack from behind. He was not prepared.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just starved himself too much.
I think so, yeah.
Because he didn't get enough advantage with his few
Yeah.
towers.
Oh, we've got a stuck longswordsman here. And we've got an engagement here. But Spaniards'
What do we
force
blame
actually being
for?
mopped up quite quickly. So Chandler's defensive force really able to hold off Spaniards' aggressive one, but Spaniards just got such a huge army here now. Because that's like 50 units basically.
Yeah. No, the Spaniard just is going for the win now.
I think so. He's sort of being able to mass up now. He just didn't get slowed down enough. Like, he's already on age 3. Chandler's still stuck in age 2. Chandler lost 2 production facilities and all that. A couple of houses. He had to commit to 3 towers. With another 2
Yeah,
cancelled.
but he lost like what 5-6 towers?
Yeah, oh yeah.
A lot of stone. If he would get H3 and throw the fortress, maybe that would save him, but...
Well, that's it. That's sort of what he's got to do.
And we won't even see the reaction for the chiefs, because no one will get this part of map.
Yeah, I don't think either player's going to go for war leaders yet. Although Spaniard might. He's got a couple of priests. He just needs to get augurs now, so... He's got druids,
Yeah.
so he just needs to build augurs. And GG, game 1.
Yep.
Game 1 to the Spaniard. Chandler, unfortunately, not successful with his tower rush strategy, but it was quite nice. A real treat to actually get to see it.
By the way, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because last time I was playing on even on the stream, someone asked me to play this quest when you have 1v1 skirmish versus yourself or something like this. It's the Athenian quest. You have legendary and normal version. Played both and had both of them bugged. And I don't know if I should message TF2K about it or who. Because both time the map basically bugged and
What was this,
super
sorry?
easy to win.
What were you saying, sorry?
Yeah, I was saying that I was playing this quest, 1v1 skirmish versus yourself, it's the Athenian quest,
Mm-hmm.
and I had it bugged. And I'm not certain who should I message about it.
Probably PF2K.
Okay. Because it's just basically the bug that your enemy TC don't spawn because the gold is on the spawning point. So the gold win TC is destroyed and the enemy start without the TC and don't do anything.
Oh, wait, so the enemy can start without a TC.
Yeah, it starts without the TC. His builder is still running, but they don't build new TC, as the I script is that they will add a new TC later on.
Hmm.
So basically they can age up and they're just standing there.
Huh. That's weird. Yeah. Definitely not supposed to happen like that then.
Yeah, and if the TC is found, I really had a problem with this quest because it said that it's the champion mode skirmish versus yourself.
But it's not,
But
yeah.
But the gear is still taking place, and the eye with spamming all the
even-
villagers. And
Even
just
champion
basically-
mode, even champion mode skirmish, there's still like advisor units that the AI gets to defend with.
Yeah, and depending on the level, it spawn more units from like each unit it should spawn. So it can throw like 3 villagers at once from the TC. When you can throw only 1. So yeah.
They can what? Train 3 villagers from a TC?
At once.
Oh,
And
really?
If you go with extreme, because we were playing there is a quest for skirmish to win versus the hardest AI, like 10 times, and we're playing in the group. So you have like 20 villagers, and I have like 60 of them, or something like this, or 40 something. It's just super buffed.
The worst is when they just
like,
when they get elite units you just can't deal with your current comp, and you've got to try and hurriedly kite the units and keep yours alive without losing everything.
Yeah. I mean, last time I was playing, because I was doing what Optimal told me, and I was training, I had this problem because strong AI always attacked my base from the different directions, so it always attacked from the point I didn't have my army yet.
So you'd always lose a couple of villagers and have to retask, and yeah.
You always need to like pack them up and move your whole army, because it's always the second end of your base.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll see the Norse versus the Persian.
And we're gonna see Ghost Lake. I'm interested to see Ghost Lake because it should be a real hard map to try and build anything on your opponent's doorstep. So things like forward bases and proxies are actually going to be, I wouldn't say impossible, but real difficult to pull off.
Yeah, ice is always annoying. Ice, or the terrain you can build on, is always annoying in every RTS game, because it's blocking your abilities. Like, I remember in, oh my god, and I'm again jumping into the different game, but in the first StarCraft there was like this small map for 4 players in which everyone had his own platform, and in the middle was like one platform you were fighting over, but you couldn't build anything there. And getting control in this map was terrifying, because you couldn't bunker position at all.
Yeah, you just had to rely on army position to win.
Yeah, and if you played just free-for-all, it was really hard, so here too, you won't be able to like drop the perfect fortress in the middles to defend 1 and 2nd side. You will need to try to do it from like the jungle and win with this.
What on earth would Terran and Protoss players do in a map like that? Like, holy crap.
Yeah,
not being able to just build up defenses everywhere?
With Protoss you just went air and tried to get your enemy from the side, and with Terran you had all hope into Siege Tank with the Marines wall. But let's get back to our game as it started.
Yeah, that's true. We better get back to the best RTS of all. So, spawning in the bottom corner of the map, in the red Persian trunks, we have, standing in at 6 feet tall, weighing at 200 pounds, Chenla.
And he's taking his weight and
Sorry?
height. You changed his weight and height from the last time.
Yeah, actually, that was Spaniard's weight and height. And so Spaniard, he's put on an inch and he's lost 5 pounds, weighing in at 6'1", 195 pounds, or 195 pounds, I should say, because that's American English. There's no and in the 100 and. It's just 105. American English is weird. Anyway, Spaniard, the blue Norse player, on the top side of the map.
Yeah,
do you want
to Hans here?
Sorry, do you want to run everyone through what this addition means for the game?
Is it like shallow water, or is it the?
It's completely frozen over, and not only that.
Okay, so
you see this?
Yes, I see ships.
No, but how many is it?
3 ships.
Yeah. So sheep on this map spawn as 3 instead of 2. So actually, scouting out herdables on this map is of real big importance because it's no longer just some crappy 200 food. It's now 300 food.
Yeah, I would like to see the map where there is more herdable and less hunts. So you focus more on getting these sheeps.
Oh, we don't want to do that then, but
whatever.
because all the Age of Empires 2 players will just pinch everyone's sheep.
Yeah, probably. Lunatics.
So Spabara versus Spearman. Always a good matchup.
Yeah. I don't know why I prefer a Sabara in this setup. Yeah, and what was interesting for me, the Spaniard to start, he didn't go for the second hunt building villager. He just sent his additional villagers into the berries, and where his hunt storage was done, he was getting the hunting animals done with all his villagers.
Yeah.
And Chenla is just queuing his villagers into nothing. They're standing there doing nothing next to the hunt.
Yeah, which is always a bit of a shame. And he's got so many villagers on the hunt too, like...
He did change his strategy. He had too little on the food, now he has all of them on the food. And he didn't go for the stone yet, so he'll probably or move his villagers from the food into the stone, or I don't really know what his strategy will be right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's got a nice Spabara count though, so I think he's going to probably try and put some pressure on.
Yeah, the Spaniards have like, what, 4 spearmen in the field? They're really tanky.
They are really tanky. But yeah, like you said, they're really tanky, but at the same time, he's down by 2 of them, and they are all over the field, so there's not really anything...
What they are building right there, because they started building something.
Oh, watchtower. Outpost,
okay,
sorry.
So he will try to probably send some dogs or something like this there.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering if he's going to try and play around dogs. Yeah, like you say, he's already got 200 food in the bank. He's got another villager queued up behind that, so that's enough to get out 8 dogs.
The new PvP patch is out, I think, yeah?
Yeah, it's out, so basically everyone saved 20 resources.
Faster.
Yeah, and you can get dogs out faster too. You get dog training in half the time. That used to be 40 seconds instead of 20. So going from 12 to 24 max dogs is so much easier. But in saying that, storehouses are also building in 10 seconds less. So every civ other than Babylonian gets moving earlier. So
I was feeling that the storehouses build a lot faster. Because this one stuck spearman there.
Oh, this is interesting. Is Spaniard going to do a tower creep with his own?
The Spaniard with the counter he's trying to do. Yeah, he's freeing his spearman right now, but will he free him? No, he's still...
He's got a spearman trapped. He had a trapped spearman that he had to...
Yeah,
this is interesting.
He's much better position because he has this almost 3 dogs he can use to spam here, and additionally he have option of building with all
of his infantry. Yeah, so his economy back at home is running so much smoother than Chenla's did trying to do this build. Yeah. Just because Norse, they don't, as you mentioned, they don't lose any build time, any gathering time trying to build this up. They don't have to pull any villages, they just use their military units. And this double outpost means that he can queue up dogs, he can even get dog training, take dogs on the other side, and look at... Yeah,
he will throw like 2-3 towers, then he can add 1 barracks there and just push with the...
He's going to scout the town center,
so the dogs
he's only invested 75 food into this, and he knows all about this already.
Yeah.
So all he has to do is add another dog or two, and he can actually look at dealing some damage here.
I mean, if Chandler get the hunting dogs, then huntering dogs with the
With aid tent, yeah.
villagers with aid tent will be really easy. You just need to take care that.
He's already got Loom on the way as well, so.
Yeah, he just.
Oh,
needs
so
to take care
he's interrupted. He's interrupted the house finishing off there, so that's also good.
Yeah.
But he's going to lose the dogs, unfortunately.
But one additional thing is, Power Rush is not really the best strategy versus the Persia, as the
Yeah.
Sarabar have
So much armor.
pierce armor.
Yeah, 40% armor. Like the only units with better armor than that are. Well, the only infantry units with better armor than that are Babylonian shield bearers.
What the Chandler need right now is like few 8-10 and tower on his own, and he's set
Oh yeah, for
Probably.
sure.
because
All
The
Spaniard needs to
pressure
do is
will
be
be
careful
nice
with his
about that.
dogs here, and he can get a lot out of them too. So
yeah,
it's a real
Persian
knife edge sort of
defense-
spot for both of them, I think.
the Persian defense is really good, and the
Yeah,
thing is,
that's good.
with the lake in the middle, we can see the Chandler just going with his Asabara through the middle and attack the Spaniard base without a problem.
Well, that's definitely true. He's got Asabara here. I heard some more dogs going in. Oh, here we go. Here on the bottom side. Oh, that sucks. So
Yeah, but
that sucks for Spaniard
They
because
can't
individual
really
dogs.
do anything because the DC are blocking everything.
Yeah. But in saying that, he's managed to force a pull away. Oh no, he hasn't. But he's sniping the storehouse at least.
Yeah, but the storehouse is basically used. There is no more food.
There's no
near
more
it,
food
yeah.
there. It's only good for vision and healing at the moment. So yeah, you're right about that. He's
Yeah.
not really getting a lot out of that.
The few trees were chopped too, so it's basically useless.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, the defensive tower is destroyed because in one way I like that the buildings that are built getting damaged more from every sort of attack, but at the same time I think for the towers it could be a little bit less. So they don't get destroyed that fast while being attacked, but that would probably change balance a lot and bring a lot more tower rushes, so yeah.
Are you talking about buffing towers?
I'm talking about not really buffing tower as a building, I'm talking about buffing tower as, you know, getting damage while the building is under construction.
Oh, give them more armor than other buildings during construction. Yeah.
Yeah. Because right now the towers get super easily destroyed. I understand fortress, but the fortress typically have enough HP to just stand there and be constructed while under some fire. It can really survive for quite a lot of time, even, you know, when you just need like 1/4 of the HP before it's getting attacked to survive. And at the same time with the towers, it's
Both of them are going to try and
basically-
take this same hunt.
We'll see what will happen because
And Spaniards actually, yeah, caught out a number of villagers with the dogs. He probably should just try and pull the dogs out of here. Oh no, he's going to try and snipe that last villager, so he does pick off the villager.
Yeah, he killed one villager.
And he interrupted all the hunt time, so he is going to get there slightly faster, I think.
Yeah, was the best for Spaniard is that he did get these towers all around, so he see everything. Do he have the town watch, or how is this called?
Yeah, he does.
The one that-
Spaniard's got town
Yeah.
watch, so he really knows everything that's going on. He even, yeah, he sees the move
Basically-
out here. He's going to know these are coming. He's even sent a couple of dogs up to deal with that. So, but oh, the scout gets picked off.
Yeah, and the tower got destroyed.
Oh, and the individual dog is going to fall.
Now that's basically Chandler shouldn't run from that point I mean, the dogs are close, but he still could deal a little bit of damage because this 1/8 and is giving him so much.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he's going to throw down towers anyway.
Yeah, but he's far enough from his 8 so he's getting attacked. And yeah, now with raiding and everything, that's basically the same problem that he got in his first game. Spaniard did spend resources, but they gave him nothing.
Yeah, well that's it. He doesn't seem to have really been able to capitalize on a lot here. And Chandler's being forced off the hunt, but
yeah,
he's killing a lot of dogs of Spaniards, so that's really undoing a lot of the game there. But in the meantime, ooh, this is a really nice turret field.
What Chandler need right now is a H3 and 1 siege.
He's getting scale mail, which I guess.
I don't think scale mail is the best counter versus our.
Well, that's it. But that's what I was going to say. I mean, it makes sense considering the units that Spaniard's got, but it doesn't make sense considering he's got so many towers and the fact that.
I think Spaniards have more towers than units. So
yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah,
so Chandler's going to try and snipe that hunt. Oh, he's. This is actually good. The dogs are going to help defend that. But the spearmen need to come in because the Asabara are really going to be able to snipe towers.
Yeah, he lost like 1 Asabara. And now the Spaniard is losing 2 villagers, probably more because...
Yeah, he's going to lose the others.
And move them.
The other dogs aren't coming in, so that's going to be a big loss for Spaniard. He's going to lose the villagers.
Yeah, Spaniard right now is throwing his resources because if Chandler gets H3 and he's getting it and they get Siege Workshop, he's basically ready to push it out. What Spaniard needs right now is like get H3 and build a fort.
Yeah, he needs to. If he forts up just here, there's that many towers that it's going to be really hard for Chandler to try and push him off.
It would be impossible to push this fort thanks to the towers, and
yeah.
second, more important, he could throw his siege units out of it to just rush the Chandler base. And as they're costing only wood and food, basically could infinitely make them there.
Well, that's it. And the thing with all these war dogs that Spaniard is using, like, they are helping from time to time, but a lot of the time, he just doesn't have the unit counts to deal the damage he wants to do, and he's just not pulling out early enough or controlling well enough to really... Sorry?
Spaniard right now was housed.
Yeah.
Is at like 70 population, in which a lot is in production because
it's all raiders.
His unit and Chandler is on.
Oh, I completely missed. Oh, Jesus! I completely missed this. So those Asabara must have come up from the side.
Yeah.
And they've done a lot of damage over the top side of Spaniard's base.
So Spaniard did control the right side, but excuse me. But he's losing it right now. Chandler should try to finish his storehouse with even 1 villager, so his villagers are getting killed.
Yeah, well that's
right
it.
Now he's just losing them.
And nothing's actually happening with the storehouse. And he's going to scout out the 3rd here from Chandler.
Yeah, but he's still losing. He won't stop it.
He won't. Yeah, he's not going to stop it in time. He's only going to deny the berries.
The raiders are here. They may destroy the tower, but the DC is up.
DC's going to finish. But there's a lot of villagers that are going to be forced to queue up there.
They just need to jump in, jump in, jump in. Don't go for the food, jump in. Oh my god. Yeah.
So he manages to clean them all up in the end. So that's actually a big hit for Chandler.
Losses, but the losses are great for Chandler.
He's actually still up by 10 villagers. He's up by 8 villagers, so he must have really done a lot of damage up here on the top side.
Yeah, and he need to send his army because he will lose this DC.
Oh, so the fortress gets denied.
Do send this Asabara in. Do fight. Okay, he sent some of them back to right here. With H3, Chenla should try to go for the Immortals versus the
infantry?
Yeah, especially Spaniard will go for infantry even more. He's getting Arjars, he's getting few Berserkers, which in my opinion are useless in H3. You don't have advantage enough to get Berserkers, they're just...
Oh, that's it. You can't hit enough of a mass of them to actually deal the good pressure that you want.
And the next one is coming, but he's dying in the second. It's like 140 gold if I'm not wrong. And now his
For a Berserker?
whole
Yeah.
advantage here got destroyed. The Spaniard is getting horsemen, but the Chenla can get horse archers in the second, so that's not really great answer.
So this forward base of Spaniards is being torn apart, but there's this little...
Yeah, and now there was like over 10 towers is so much stone that could be used for upgrades or something else.
That's it, that's basically 2 full stone lines of Spaniards. And he's just got...
Yeah.
Oi! What are you doing? It's not Smoko, get back to work!
You're talking about smoke, it's
No, Smoko, like a smoke break?
Let's stop. Let's stop.
Okay, it's just Aussie slang, don't worry about it.
He got advantage, but he still have over like 100 population more than Spaniard. Spaniard not doing anything right now. Chenla didn't do anything the second ago. Now he's trying to use Asabara and upgrade for the melee attack, but
he needs to make something happen though. Like he's actually really got yeah, like you say, a huge advantage at the moment, but he's just not capitalizing on it.
Yeah, now this we have some rights. This one is good because there is no counter for it. I mean, he is killing, but still the horsemen are basically shredding the Asabara and the field, so...
Oh, that's it.
You're not the kill.
Asabara fighting against horsemen and war dogs is not a really good fight for the Asabara. Because the Asabara, they're supposed to fight ranged.
Yeah, but the 8-10s.
Yeah, that's true. The 8-10 does help a little bit. Persia OP.
And what Spaniard is doing right now is just walling himself. He's trying to keep on defense. He's trying to somehow survive. But
it just seems like Chenla's got too much,
if
hey?
you look at the Chenla resources, he don't really have additional wood. Don't get wood that much. I don't know what he spent his all wood on. Because he get food. Don't really get
I was going to say farms, but he's already got a lot of farms, so... Has he got a market already? He doesn't have a market, so...
Yeah, that's right. What's he? Market near this town center and go into his main base, or go from his main base into this one town center.
Yeah.
You have a lot of...
You get a lot of gold with a good market there. And it could be quite safe too.
Oh my god. Even the horsemen won't survive that much of a Asabara.
No, well that's it. Like you say, even though they're the counter unit, it's just not a good trade for them.
Yeah.
Not with that many.
Don't have enough. Spaniard don't have enough forces, and at the same time, I don't think that Chenla can support it for long. Because he gets gold, he don't get gold.
He doesn't have a huge amount of gold, so... But in saying that, I think he just has enough to overwhelm Spaniard here, because Spaniard just lost so much with that TC set. I mean, with that forward tower setup.
Always GG.
GG.
That will always be the problem with playing the offensive play like this, where you build the buildings next to your enemy. Because early on, building like that are quite a lot of resources you need to spend, because you can't build them in base where they will probably survive forever at the end of the game. You build them somewhere they can be destroyed in the second, and then if you lose this point, if you lose your proxy, then you're basically dead.
Yeah, you're basically screwed, because you got to invest so much in it to do it.
And for proxy to work, it's really hard, because, for example, like your proxy with the 8-10s, you're just getting the free kills for 50 wood. That's not so bad of the investment. But if you're going for towers, which are 150 resources or more, depending on the what you need to pay for them, because I'm not sure. And at the same time, if you go with this and build the barracks, build some the production buildings and everything, if you lose them, you need to rebuild them at home. Plus, you always need to care that your main base is not destroyed.
Well, that's it. That's why that's why probably the safest builds are aggression builds where you build everything back at home, realistically, because you've got the early military advantage, but you haven't got the disadvantage of, oh crap, he's now caught up in that, he can circle it and just destroy it easily.
Yeah, let's see. The Spaniard went with the cells, and what would the Chenya go with?
Babylon, I think.
Oh, so
It's just
we'll see the
relogging
next
now.
Babylon versus the cells. I will won with Spaniard in this setup, so we'll see what Chenya will do. Yeah, I really hope that Chenla will do it.
I just want to
And
see.
that's totally not because I lost versus Spaniard.
No, it'd be a really good confidence boost for Chandler if he took a game, or took a series off someone at the moment. I think he probably really needs it, because he doesn't play awfully, but he does have it, like, he does have a couple of bad habits to iron out. Like we all do. Obviously, we've got a million bad habits to iron out each, but some of them I think just piss him off so much that he doesn't want to. Sorry?
I don't train villagers. You don't go to page 3 because you're rushing.
Yeah, but you know, I think he doesn't have a lot of confidence in his own play at the moment, which is a shame because he is quite creative. You know, he's really able to pull things out of Age of Empires 2.
From what I'm seeing right now, he got the same problem I have, so he's losing focus when he's in an enemy base with his army. Don't really look at the economy he have.
Oh yeah, that's it.
That's the same thing for me. And that's terrible because that really can destroy your economy. But at the same time, it's not so hard to fix this.
Yeah, oh, that's it. It's actually easier than people would think to fix. It
really is.
Oh man, like all you've really got to do is just tap your town center hotkey, press A. Tap your production hotkey, press whatever you want to produce. Like, you know, and it just takes, I guess, either being visually aware or having a good timing. Like,
especially if you have like the add-on that's showing you what you're producing right now.
Yeah.
Then the villagers are typically the first thing you see.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, you should realistically be cycling through to your town center hotkey every once in a while, regardless if you know that you're not at 85 villages, just to check and see that you have got some more in production, or that if you have got some in production and you need to get military out, you can cancel them or whatever.
The Spaniard is no longer playing, he's going for blood with his early barracks.
Yeah, he's gonna play serious now. He's got a serious face on.
Yeah, the first said that Chenla is regular good, which is quite good.
He's what good, sorry?
He's regularly good, so quite good.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, I mean, we need more players on, like, not terrible or not perfect level, because we have
exactly, yeah, exactly.
Really good. All the old players and, like, players who switch the game are getting used to this game are basically on the, like, higher level. And you still have these guys that are trying to learn, but for example, don't build storages or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
This is interesting. Chandler's actually moved everything back to build the Ziggurat.
Yeah, that's quite brave. Ooh.
Yeah.
But the problem is he don't really have a military, and he will get like spearmen there in the second.
Hmm.
So moving from the Hound was not the best option as he would, and he's building archer.
Oh, this is why he wants to force out a quick range. Yeah.
So with this, he will be able to stop the Spaniard for quite some time, especially if he add not only archers but the slingers too.
Hmm.
And he won't really need to focus on the food that much because of it.
But Spaniard's going to be able to go in just before the first bowman pops. Oh, he's just overstepped things, so he needs to be really careful. Because he's going to take about, wow, a third of the health per hit. Which is huge.
He needs to back down now because there are 2 archers, and the 2 archers are enough to kill the spearman without any problems.
That's
Babylonian's archers are really nice. I really love the Babylonian archer range units.
Hmm. That looks so cool.
The Babylon is specialized at archers thanks to all this ranged unit from the stables. But your normal archers, especially as champions, when you get only wood for them, so we can basically spawn them without
this is a good catch. So the dock hasn't even gone down yet, but he's still going to be able to snipe the villager. So he's actually going to let him place it. Oh, he let him place the dock, so Chandler's actually forced to cancel.
Yeah, but
only cost him about 3 wood.
So he didn't lose really the resources.
Yeah.
He lost like 1 or 2 wood.
Yeah, well, Spaniard probably should have just focused the villager there, because even though Chandler placed it down, he only lost like 3 wood. Yeah.
But look, that Spaniard is still age 1. He's at 30 population. He's still throwing the villagers. He's still throwing the spearmen. He's adding the loom, and at the same time, the Chandler is adding archers.
But he is also taking a dock.
He's going H2 now, but if their army is mid right now, if Chandler will micro a little bit, he'll have advantage.
I don't think Chandler's going to want to move out with only 3 though, because they've got no front line either. So realistically, if it was 8 spears to 3 archers, like you've got to micro in that situation, otherwise you're going to lose.
Chandler right now needs gold, a lot of gold.
I think he was trying to force out that first garden is what's really hurt him though.
Yeah. Yes, he's getting one right now, but he don't have the. He don't really have ox carts. You need additional ox carts here.
He's only got his first 2 ox carts. Sniping one of the spears going in, but the rest of them are actually going to be able to go in here. So this is really going to slow down his wood economy, but he's got a lot of wood in the bank already anyway, so I don't know if this really hurts Chandler that much. And Spaniard, oh no, this is bad. He should not be moving back into this because he's going to lose 2 spears.
Yeah, and it's basically 3 spears because it's good for him because archers all decided to target the same spear.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If Chandler had
basically wipe that stack.
Yeah, that's true. If Chandler's archers were a little bit more split up and weren't dealing overkill damage there, he probably could have picked off another 2 spears and really hurt Spaniard.
Spaniard is pushing water hard. Look at the places where his ships are basically going.
Oh, what the fuck? He's rallied all the way up there.
He's using this one ship to check the whole... oh my god, I don't remember. The whole coast, yeah.
Yeah.
Because while backing, it will basically check if
there's docks here. Yeah, anywhere pretty much here onwards is going to be checked for.
And at the same time, if he decides to build the dock later, he will have less fishes in these spots because of what the Spaniard did.
Oh, the bit of missed micro there. The villagers are both Oh, is the second villager gonna die? No.
Not really.
But it's also gonna mean
you
the...
need like 5 or 6 archers to...
Yeah,
But
you need
now
like 6.
this one villager was attacked by Lynx, so maybe the Lynx will finish it off. No, he didn't, but it...
Oh, there's another Lynx! Ho 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 ho! The Lynx is gonna kill it! Oh, the Lynx kills her!
Animals OP!
Animals OP! Blame Recon!
Is it the Recon job to fix animals?
It is now.
Okay. Yeah, the Spaniard is getting longswords, but I don't think that... Yeah, he started adding slingers. What Chenla needs right now is counter the slingers. He needs the shield bearers or the...
Ooh, that's no good. He's gonna
no.
lose a bowman!
Yeah, he needs to get his own slingers or the shield bearers. But he's getting H3.
Chenla, yeah,
So
Chenla's
he
already...
totally resigned from... He resigned from taking control over the water, but he's basically building...
I don't mind it, because
Control over
realistically, if
them.
you think about it, the faster you can scale up your economy, you know, the less of a difference being behind a dock is going to make. And it forces your opponent to have to keep expanding on the water, or catch up on land.
He did get the 3 archer ranges. I say he really needs the slingers right now, because the slingers from the Babylonian, especially Champion 1, are the best range unit to counter other range units.
And like you said, yeah, Spaniard's already got a good slinger count of his own, so Chenla is really going to want to have to switch to, like you said, go for slinger, shield bearer, rather than a pure bowman force, because it's not really as effective.
Babylonian Champion Slinger is totally immune to any damage from the any bonus damage, so the slingers from the Spaniard won't do additional damage versus them. So even with the quite low DPS they have.
Yeah, so the bonus multiplier of ×4, yeah, like you say, when you get the Slinger Champion upgrade on Babylonian, that ×4 multiplier does not exist anymore.
Yeah.
And so in a counter range v counter range setup, Babylonian Slingers are the strongest in the game.
So Chenla is trying to do what I did at the end of my game when I had basically only bowmen there, but I had only bowmen because that was the only unit that survived in my army. And I don't think that's the best combo he can do now. The Striker killed me with the only bowman with some siege towers combo from the Babylon. But at the same time I was playing Norse and didn't have enough resources to go skirmishers. Yeah, he's getting the Champion Slingers right now, so he possibly will add them, the combo with Champion Slingers and the Bowman.
Oh, so 2 villagers getting really low of Chenla's, and he's going to have to try and preemptively tower up or something.
If this tower have enough range to shoot the water, then it should be fine. If it's have enough to get these fishing ships.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that Spaniard, instead of opting for the most greedy fishing, has opted for the most deny-based fishing.
Spaniard is going for the Water Raiders, he's going for the Champion Slingers, he's adding more longswords, but at the same time the Chenla is going for the Slingers and even more archers. And with so many archers, if he don't misplay, if he just let them attack moves, so they will attack Water Raiders as fast as they see them, the Water Raiders won't be able to do that much of damage. Yeah, and he's going for the siege towers. So he is basically going for the same thing that...
You've seen Striker play against you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, yeah, if you A move at the start of the fight, at least that way, unlike M moving, your bows and all your range, yeah, they're going to attack straight away at the maximum of their range, rather than walking straight up. And like you say, especially against the Woad Raiders.
Damage. And the Chenla is getting even more pierce damage, and the second one is getting pierce armor, so they're basically even themselves out. So we'll see, because with so many archers, I don't think that...
That's a lot of archers, and like there's 4 woads and 16
How many
slingers. Like,
slingers do they have? One have 15, second have 14, so the slingers are quite even.
Chandler's maxed out here as well, off 2 TC anyway. So
I mean,
Chandler's
look at his
population
wood.
is really far ahead of
Look
his
at
opponents.
wood. He have champions archers, so he can basically do them infinitely, and look at this wood he have.
Yeah, we were talking about last game he wasn't getting a lot of wood. This game, he has a boatload of wood.
Yeah, he don't really care. These units are, with the amount of wood you have on the treasure island, these archers are basically free unit for him. And now slingers and archers are attacking the enemies, and they're just dying. Yeah, the only real problem of this combination is your archers and slingers getting hit first. So I really would like to see some shield bearers here.
Yeah. But that's really
But
all
at
he's
the
got to
same
add from
time-
here, I think. Because he's really picking down Spaniard inside Spaniard's own base now.
Yeah. I don't remember who said in one of the chats that Babylonians are weak right now, but
I think it was Greeky that was
see
saying
them.
it.
I
No,
can see them being weak.
I can't remember. But yeah, I do remember someone saying the Babylonian are a little bit weak at the moment.
Greeky asked. I think Greeky asked. And
Oh,
this,
Greeky asked the question, maybe.
And the striker said, or no, maybe not striker. Yeah, I don't want to lie because I'm not sure, but
Yeah, neither. But yeah, basically Babylonians effectively did take a slight hit, but it's
yeah,
only
what is interesting is Spaniard is still adding longswords, and just now he's switching to Wood Raiders. But I don't think that he did it fast enough.
he's not going to get enough fast enough. Yeah, you're right. And there's already
And now we have
some
these
towers.
Just
And look,
don't even throw the units inside them, just push them on the building and destroy the buildings, yeah. Stop the construction of the units. Babylonian
pretty.
number 1.
Babylonians are the prettiest civ, hands down. Anyone that
Yeah.
wants to argue against that can bite me.
I mean, I don't really like the heroic gear for Babylonians, but the normal golden and so epic and the legendary gear is basically doing a job for me. Yeah, and they're just dying.
So I think this is Custer's last stand here, because
Yeah.
Spaniard.
I mean, Chenla may lose this army, but look at the queue.
Yeah, look at the
And look at
population
the
difference.
resources.
It's double the population. He's Yeah,
he lost like 20
GG.
units. GG. He just clicked once, and they all were starting to get rebuilt in the archer ranges. Yeah, people are saying that the Lanciers are destroying the cells from the Babylon, but in reality, if you go with enough, especially here when he didn't harass him enough, because Spaniard basically lost food on his harasses, he did take control of the water, but nothing much.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that the fact that he was also distance gathering and went up to 2 ships, if he had just stuck with 1, parked it right here, and had
if
have, yeah,
you
seen his
go
opponent
for, like-
building up the big range com.
You should go for like 10 fishing ships or 5 fishing ships. Just throw away the food gathering in his base for the most. Just leave like few villagers to be safe, and use water as much as he could. And the second thing, with the water controller, typically you age up faster. You have techs faster. You don't care that much about food, so you
Yeah.
focus your villagers on other resources. You have advantage with Ajax, and here he was late. If you would start building the Water Raiders faster, you'd basically run in and clean all of the Chenla's forces.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like, if he basically had have either leapfrogged straight to Wodes, or at least cut infantry and then just done the same sort of mass slinger ball himself, I think, yeah, he probably could have fared better there. It's just that Chenla really caught him out with a well balanced composition for countering what his opponents needed. It wasn't a balanced composition, but sorry.
If you look at the Spaniard queue, you still see that he's producing this one additional longsword there, which is totally useless because he will die in like 3 hours.
Yeah, for sure. The Woad Raiders certainly going to be the more efficient unit, and yeah, he probably needs to have another range.
For winning here with Woad Raiders, he would need to first group them up and then charge, because if he would drop them as, you know, single units, they would be picked up before they could.
Yeah, they just get picked off before they even get there.
And then you still need to remember that they attack slingers and they stop on the slinger. The slinger are not so.
Well, that's it. The slingers deal no damage to them compared to the actual bowmen. So.
Yeah, but they can tank.
But they can tank. So anytime the Woads are attacking slingers, is time they're not killing bowmen, and slingers deal 8 damage to the Woads. The bows deal 30 damage. Well, not quite, sorry, 25 damage, 26 damage.
Yeah, so Slinger have like 90 HP, but he still needs to be hit a few times before he end up dying, so...
But alright, man, well, thanks for playing. Sorry?
Adding these siege towers were just nailed to the coffin.
They were, yeah. It was really, really smart for him to transition straight to that and then just march across the field. But yeah, man, I'll see you around. Thanks for coming to cast. Thanks for playing in game 1. And thanks for everyone for coming down and watching the week 10 of the show matches.
Send the first game of this of me versus Spaniard to the optimal. Just cut my 2 losses so he won't see it. And yeah, thanks for it.
Yeah,
glad I was here. Thanks for everyone in chat for watching, and see you guys next time.
Yeah, well, I'll try and run some show matches next week. Cheers for watching, guys.